but it's not. If you look on those pink sheets, there is no indication on their faces that any recording is made in respect of the use of biometric device. Column C3 was not filled at all. Is that correct?
Yeah, for those that I've looked at so far, that's correct.
So it's not true to say that on the face of those pink sheets,
yes,
people voted
these
without
ones,
biometric verification.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Lord, I have a list of those pink sheets which I would like to tender. And yet, Doc, you swore an affidavit alleging that on the face of the pink sheets, people voted without biometric verification.
Oh yes,
so that's an error, is that correct?
Well, we have to see what exactly is in the database. If I can refer,
Doc,
at the end of the day, we had over 535,000 people voting without biometric verification. We've made some amendments since the initial 11,842 polling stations were identified. I would like to see if these are still in play. But as I look at them on the face of it, my lords, they shouldn't be classified as people who have voted without biometric verification.
So, Doc, I'm saying that's an error, right?
Well, I'll have to see what we still have in the database before I can answer.
No, I'm saying you swore an affidavit attaching these documents at the initial instance. I'm asking you, this is an error. Is that correct?
Well, this is why I'm saying that if I see the full list of polling stations that is in the database currently, I'll be able to tell you whether we are still relying on those pink sheets for our analysis.
Even if you were, initially you would have made an error, Doc. Just admit it. It's nice to be.
Well, I'm telling you that I'm not sure if these are polling stations we are still relying on. If they are, but I'm telling you on the face of them that these pink sheets have not recorded voting without biometric.
I think this answer is evasive, if I may say so, because he is saying that as on their face and as at the time you submitted them, in view of the fact that you said there's nothing about lack of biometric verification, you initially submitted them by way of error. That's all he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, if they were classified as C3 errors, I mean, then they will not be correct. This is what I've admitted to. that they shouldn't be classified as voting without biometric verification. That's what I've said.
What is the labeling for exclusive biometrics? MBL, is that not correct? The labeling you gave your biometric, exclusive.
If I can,
who voted without biometric.
if I can refresh my memory on the labeling of the different categories, I will.
Your own, this thing is here. I could give that to you. Your own affidavit is paragraph 52. That's it.
That's correct.
Now, Doc, all these are exclusive L labels, are they not? Give them to you. Oh, they've inspected the same thing. Yes.
You was deposing to exclusive voting without biometric
Verification, yes, my lord.
Okay.
Yes, and the category is MBL. MBL. Can you confirm to the court that the labeling is MBL for
Yes.
each and every one?
Yes, my lords.
So those are exclusive to voting without biometric, aren't they?
Yes, my lords. That category.
Suggesting to you, Doc, you really are just trying to mislead the court.
Definitely not, my lords. That's why I keep saying that since we submitted this list, we've deleted about 704 polling stations, and we made that mention. And if I can be allowed to refresh my memory on these, we can clarify that whether we are still relying on these. But as it is now, I'm not allowed to. So so there was an error in categorizing those as voting without biometric verification initially. Yeah.
My Lord, I have in my hand the list of documents, numbered pink sheets, my Lord, numbered 1 to 8. Of that number 6 is cancelled.
This is
the number 6. So in effect, the documents shown the witness are 7 in number.
Error.
Oh, my Lord, we have no problem admitting when we make errors.
Okay.
We have no problems with that.
Go on.
Asking counsel the reason for cancelling number 6, because number 6 is one of the polling stations we are relying on. whereas 1 to 5 is among the list that has been deleted. We have no objection to this being tendered.
Well, our counsel is not giving evidence, I hope.
Since it's not objecting, that's what you want, so, or else.
He's not giving evidence, I'm not responding.
Based on MDL 1, MDL 357, if you value come as it is 5.
Doc. In all the instances that you allege people voted without biometric verification, you're not suggesting for a moment that somebody voted whose name was not in the voting register, are you?
We're suggesting that the face of the pink sheet indicates the number of people who voted without biometric verification.
Doc, this is a direct question. You can't evade it. And I'm asking you a direct question. Are you alleging that anybody voted who was not qualified to vote?
I wasn't at the polling stations. I can only go by what is on the face of the pink sheet, my lord.
Did any of your agents tell you that anybody came to vote at any particular station whose name and biometric data was not in the register?
We've not received formal complaints. We've had many complaints across the country, but the evidence is on the face of the pink sheet.
You mean you received oral complaints from your agents?
As I said, the evidence is on the face of the pink sheet. The pink sheet tells you how many people at the polling station voted without biometric verification. This is not a complicated matter.
Doc, for a moment, just move the obsession from the pink sheet. I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you that, are you saying that the report you received was orally, was that people whose names were not on the polling register came to vote?
We received all sorts of reports, but we only investigated for evidence. You can't just go and bring a case here without evidence. And the evidence, my lords, is on the face of the pink sheet. It's very clear. Section C3 tells you the number of people at the polling station who voted without biometric verification.
Now, Doc, can you produce to this court a single instance of complaint lodged in prescribed form that any single voter in the 2012 election voted when the person's name has not been verified against his ID card from the polling register? Can you?
The formal complaint is what we are lodging in this court, in this election petition, and we have sufficient evidence to back that claim, my lords.
So you don't have any complaint either from the polling station or the collation center in prescribed form, do you?
The complaint is what we have lodged in this court, in this
yes
election petition.
Or no?
I don't have a formal complaint, my lord.
In prescribed, good. Now, if you recall,
with voting without biometric verification. It is not the same as voting without the name being in the voters register.
Oh.
There are two things.
My Lord, there are legal consequences that arise from either of those. It is his case in the first instance that people voted without biometric verification. We dispute that. I'll come to that. But what I'm seeking to elicit from him is to find out what is the biometric verification for. Is to check double voting and people who are not qualified voting. I'm asking him a direct question, whether in any instance with their polling agents, everybody available, did anybody complain that somebody came through a polling station, voted when his name against the card, visual observation, was not in the polling register? That is a fundamental question that will determine the outcome of what you find is your lordship make in relation to biometric verification.
But the subhead that you gave us, that
Yeah.
you are now dealing with, is
Yes.
voting without biometric verification.
That is their label.
So you have labeled it differently.
That is the label they have given so that's the way I am expressing it. I'm treating it as a heading.
So now we are dealing with the voters register, not the biometric verification.
Perhaps, maybe I should explain a little to your lordship. And that's my understanding. The essence of all these steps is to demonstrate that somebody who comes to vote is both eligible and qualified to vote. You are 18, you've registered, your biometric register has been captured, and therefore your name is in the register, and then in fact you have an ID card. The steps which I described earlier, which I don't want to have to go through, is that when you go to a polling station, they check your face against the register. In fact, your picture is also in the register, and then see whether your name is in the register before you go through. So my understanding, which I intend to put to him, is that before you go through fingerprint verification, you would have been confirmed as the person standing in front of the presiding officer, and that your name is already in the register, biometrically and produced, generated. And that is my next question to him. So the issue of biometric verification, I have a different interpretation of the law. We'll address your lordships on that at a later stage. But the point I'm trying to put to the witness is that nobody went through biometric verification, fingerprint verification, without having his identity confirmed against existing biometric data. So, I'm happy for the opportunity to address you on the point. But I'm suggesting to you, and that is the question I want you to answer, did any of your officers of the party or any polling agent complain in writing or orally?
Again, this is a question that has been asked God knows how many times. So many times. The answer you're looking for, you never get it.
Well, you would have been right if you had completed the question and it was to the same effect. Or you are dealing with anticipatory breach. Okay. Yes.
Maybe I should rephrase it. I am suggesting to you that you did not receive any complaint in prescribed form that...
Oh no, this one you have... it is recorded. You asked this one. It's on record.
My Lord, he was being evasive. That's when I got.
Tony, the next question we have got.
My Lord, the whole is coming again.
We have got this down, and I mean, let us devise crisp methods of, answering questions. All this rigmarole you went into. If you had simply said that the question about voting, nobody voting when his data is not captured as it is on the on the ID in the register. I mean, simply, I would have thought that you were asking an incidental question on that issue of biometric verification. It's incidental, isn't it? And so, no, I'm only saying that we can, express ourselves more laconically, save time, and okay. Continue.
I'm not sure I got a question answer to the last question, and if your lordship would just indulge me, it's a short question. I'm suggesting to you that nobody in the 2012 election voted who had not been, whose name and identity has not been checked through the biometric register.
My lords, I was not at all these polling stations. All we can say is that on the face of the pink sheet, these number of people voted without biometric verification.
Now, if you before the election, presumably every polling station had biometric fingerprint verification machine. At least in every polling station.
Yeah, those that worked.
Now, I believe the hula baloo started when it was discovered that some of the verification devices were not functioning properly.
Yes, I think the hula baloo started when they were not functioning, and I think the first respondent asked that, contrary to the law, people should be allowed to vote without biometric verification.
In fact, I'm suggesting to you that first respondent's answer is the correct statement of the law.
And then I've not seen that law.
In fact, your political party went up in arms, shouting no verification, no vote. Is that correct?
That was the statement of the second respondent, my lords.
Which you echoed happily.
That is the law.
Now, as a result of that, polling was adjourned to the next day.
In some polling stations. In others, like Nadalu Kaleo and other polling stations in those constituencies, voting took place without biometric verification.
You mean the whole of the voting took place without biometric?
No, what we can ascertain and what we have as evidence, not hearsay, is what is on the face of the pink sheet that we have brought to court.
No, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you, are you saying that there are polling stations where everybody voted without biometric verification?
No, I'm not saying that. Where there is voting without biometric verification, which is captured on the pink sheets, my lord, that is the evidence we have brought before court.
So you can't say confidently that there's a single polling station that everybody voted without biometric verification?
Again, this is the repeated question.
Counsel, you are interrupting my cross-examination. My lord, he is literally interfering with my cross-examination now.
That's right, we have to say so. Because this question, he has answered it. So, I mean...
very well.
All right,
now, my lord, right. I'll continue.
Okay.
I'll continue.
Lunch is important. It has its
my lord, let me just wind up this little, a few on this particular point, and then we can go for lunch, my lord. If you give me just 5 minutes, I want to wind up on a point, my lord. Respectfully, very respectfully.
Okay,
just a few minutes.
Point, yes.
Now, I am suggesting to you, Doc, that in every instance where you saw indicated on the pink sheet that people voted without biometric verification, it was clearly an error.
I think you are wrong, my lords.
Because, Doc, I have here a pile of sheets that show that on the same pink sheets that you rely on, and contrary to what you just said, there are polling stations where it's indicated 100% voted without biometric verification.
Well, that is what the evidence says, then that is it.
I'm suggesting to you that was an error.
You and I were not at those polling stations. We can only go by what is on the face of the pink sheet.
My lord, I have here over about 115. I'll give them the list during the break. They can check. Where in polling stations, C1 and C3 have just been repeated. Where they say that in that polling station, every single person voted without biometric verification. I'll give it to them during the break to vet. I think it's a good point to stop, my lord.
That is the record, my lords.
Lunch break. We resume at it's 12:18, so 1 hour from 12:18. That's 1:18. Okay, we'll top it up 1:20. Is that overtiming?
Court is taking a short break. All rise.
Well, so today has seen quite a different style of going about the cross-examination. The style of giving the pink sheet one after the other has been changed quite a bit in line with the directive from the judges. We've seen that the bulk of them were examined on the category of overvoting, and then subsequent.
Registrar. I have in my hand another lot, also verified with lawyers of the petitioner. Same category, numbered 1 to 19. Can you please flip through and confirm they've checked already? Oh, well, that's fine. These are 19, my lord. They've been listed separately in another cover and numbered 1 to 19, but they are of the same category. Yes, my lord. Can you give them to, or they still want to check? Is there any that is not? What is each one? It's not talking of no official signature. We checked them, didn't you? We checked them. Well, let them go. Let me use this one. Put them back in. This one is another one. Yes, I've seen it. So is that. Now, Doc, flip through those documents and confirm to the court whether or not C1 is the same as C3.
Yes, the number of people who voted without verification is the same as the number of ballots issued to the voters on this register.
Well, the list is here. Would like to respectfully tender it.
Ballot, we have no objection.
My Lord. And no objection.
My Lord, list of voting without verification. MBM, figure in CI, C1, repeated in C3, is marked as result.
My Lord, I have here exhibit MBL122. MBL122. And the name of the polling station is Kiape, Kiape. Kiape, LA Primary. Polling station code H010702. 010702. What number is recorded at C1?
C1 is 318, I think. Yeah, 318 for ballots issued to voters on the polling register.
And what is recorded in C3?
It's, I think, 332 for number of voters verified by the use of Form 1C, but not by the use of the biometric verification device.
If
332.
If we took that pink sheet, as you say, on the face of it, more people voted without biometric than the people who actually voted at that polling station. Is that not correct?
Yes, more people were allowed to vote without biometric verification than what was actually ballots issued to people to vote. Yes, this is what the interpretation of the pink sheet is.
And yet, there is no overvoting by your definition on that sheet, is there?
No, there isn't.
Doc, I'm suggesting to you that in all cases where you claim that people voted without biometric verification, they were just errors made by presiding officers.
Well, I do not agree.
Yes, my lord. In one of your claims, sir, was that in numerous polling stations, presiding officers did not sign the pink sheets.
Correct. That's true.
You're not challenging the results that are declared at those
Oh
polling
yes, we are
stations.
challenging the results, my lord, because the law requires that those results be signed before declaration to make them valid. That is a constitutional requirement, and they were not signed, and that is why we are challenging the results.
The results that were declared were not challenged at the polling station, were they?
The results that were declared were not valid because they were not supported by a signature as required by the Constitution.
Did you sign any document challenging the results declared at the polling station?
We are here today to challenge those results.
Did you or did you not, doctor, challenge at the polling station level the results that were declared in those instances?
I'm not aware of any challenges, but our agents all testified or attested to those results. The presiding officer needs to sign before declaration. That is a constitutional requirement, as I understand it. And without that, those results cannot be valid.
And you did not challenge those results at the collation centers, did you?
Those results are being challenged.
You did not challenge those results at the collation centers, did you?
We did not challenge those results at the collation center
Good.
or the way to the collation center, but we are challenging them because they are unconstitutional.
And you can confirm that your polling agents signed those results at the polling stations.
Our polling agents in some of the situations signed, again, to attest to what actually went on at those polling stations.
Are you saying some? I'm suggesting to you that without exception, all your polling agents signed the pink sheets at the polling station level.
Then that will be fine, but the presiding officer did not sign, and that is constitutionally required.
Is that a yes or a no? Do you agree with me or you don't?
I've not seen all the sheets. I mean, I can't remember, but it's not something I want to argue over. The issue is that the presiding officer, as required by the law, did not sign those, and that makes it invalid. Unless my understanding that's my understanding, by the way.
Be a bit more direct. When he poses a question, you don't elect the version of it you want and answer it. You answer according to the version he has put to you.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so you see, what he was asking you is that at the polling stations, collation centers, all your agents signed the results declared there.
The agent sign at the polling stations, my lord,
Yes.
not the collation centers.
Polling station. Yeah, so you are saying they signed at the polling stations but not at the collation centers?
Yes, the law requires that the signature be at the polling station, no other place, before the results are declared.
Your polling agents, I'm not talking about presiding officers, I'm asking, your polling agents sign at the polling station level, that's correct?
Yes.
Yes, and
The law requires that polling agents and presiding officers sign at the polling stations.
And at the collation centers, your counting and or other agents confirmed those results by signing, is that not correct? At the collation centers?
At the collation centers, they may have signed, but we are saying that those results are invalid because the presiding officer did not sign as required by law.
Are those stations exclusive to your claim of presiding officers not signing? You are not complaining that there is overvoting, are you?
There are multiple irregularities. There are
Exclusive. I use the word exclusive so you don't go into another narration. I say in those areas where you are saying that exclusively presiding officers did not sign, you are not complaining of overvoting.
No.
You are not complaining that nobody went through the process without biometric verification.
No, we are not complaining. We are only
You are not
complaining.
complaining about serial numbers.
We are only complaining about a constitutional violation.
Doc, are you suggesting that a presiding officer can determine the outcome of election just by not signing a pink sheet?
It's not me, it's the Constitution which determines that.
The Constitution doesn't say that.
Because it's a legal question. I don't think...
I'm suggesting to you that if what you are saying is true, I could very well bribe a presiding officer to determine the outcome of an election for me.
This is still out of gear. Still out of gear. But let me get what I think is relevant. Said that the agents may have signed, but we are still challenging them. And then he said that these centers, before you interrupted the necessary part, you were saying that
he's not complaining about overvoting. Absence of biometric.
Yes.
No serial numbers.
Yes.
All the other violations.
Yes, and I think, if I understood, he was saying that, yes, okay, you answered that.
The only complaint is the constitutional violation that we are complaining about, of no signature of the presiding officer or the assistant.
And so that is the reason why you want innocent voters wiped out. They don't count.
My lords, that's why we want illegal votes.
No, don't answer this. It's not...
Now,
next question.
I'm suggesting to you...
Next question. That's what... Yes.
That it is not true that in the stations you have referred to, polling station presiding officers in all the circumstances did not sign the pink sheets. Or put another way, in fact, in some instances, the presiding officers did in fact sign the pink sheets.
I don't think I have any polling station that I'm currently relying on that has a presiding officer who signed.
I will demonstrate that to you in a minute. It looks like I've run out of those. That list. Ballot Exhibit MBS 60. I believe that is the range covering exclusively instances where you allege that MBS presiding officers did not sign the pink sheet. Ballot Exhibit MBS 60. And the polling station name is L.A. Nesri. L.A. Nesri. And the name is N-T-A-N-K-O-R-O. N-T-A-N-K-O-R-O. And the polling station code is G200802. You exhibited this pink sheet to prove that presiding officers did not sign. Can you look on the reverse side? Can you see a signature by the presiding officers?
Yes, my lord. This is no longer in our database. We are no longer relying on this. Next.
I'm suggesting to you that it is in your data.
Then please take a look.
I will not look at it. You want that thing badly in. I say I will not.
Well, it's here. My data is here. If you are interested in the truth,
I am not interested
take a look
in
at it and see if it's in there.
I'm not interested in what you've prepared somewhere else. I'm interested in what is in exhibit in this court. And I'm suggesting to you that that document shows that presiding officer signed.
Yes, and that is why it is no longer being relied on, my lord.
Exhibit MBS 205. MBS 205. And the polling station name is TB W, the name is WUNTUBIRI. WUNTUBIRI. And the polling station code is H241105. H241105. Can you confirm to the court whether or not polling presiding officers signed that sheet?
Yes, I can confirm that presiding officers signed this sheet, and I can confirm that it is not in our database. We are no longer relying on this. It has been deleted.
Exhibit.
A question about only presiding officer or polling agencies. I thought I heard.
His complaint is not about polling agents, so it's just about presiding officers.
I heard you mention something. Okay, yes.
I'm suggesting to you that it is still in your database.
It is not.
It is.
But you can find out
Let me
by
rephrase
looking at
that
it.
question. I'm suggesting to you that you use this in support of your allegation that polling officers did not sign presiding officers did not sign these sheets.
Well, if it was, then we wouldn't have deleted it, my lords.
Well, Lord, I'm going to name the next lot together. So, because the question is the same. Well, Lord, the first one is MBS 112. MBS 112. And the name is, I'll spell it, ESUADAE. ESUADAE. Anglican Primary School. Anglican is short ANG, primary is short PRIM school. And the polling station code is B201202. B201202. The next one is MBS 114. MBS 114. And the name is DA Primary School. Botease. 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 And the code is C200703. C200703. The third one is MBS 232. MBS 232. And the name is Timpani, I hope. TEMPANE SSS. And the polling station code is J120801. J120801. The next one is MBS 166. MBS 166. And is Ghana National Association of Carriers. CARRI. What is that? It's garages. I think so. I think Ghana Association of Garages. The last bit is unclear, but the polling station code is C141804. 141804B. And the last one is MBS 95. MBS 95. And the polling station name is Bus Garage. Bus, B-U-S, Garage. And the polling station code is B021905. B021905. Can you confirm to the court that on all these pink sheets, the presiding officers signed against their name?
Yes, I can confirm to the court that in all these polling stations, the presiding officers signed, and that is why we have deleted these from our database. We are no longer relying on these.
I'm suggesting to you that those pink sheets are still before this court. One of which they have their name. Now, I'm suggesting to you further that in a fairly large number of these pink sheets, the presiding officers wrote down their names, date, and time of completion of the process. I'm suggesting that to you.
They may be the case in some cases, but they need to sign.
Oh, but you don't know whether they have a signature, whether they just write their names, do you?
There's a column for signature. If it is filled, it is filled. If it is not filled, it is not there.
I have checked this with your lawyers. I'll give it to them again if they want to look. They have a list. No, why? No, there's nothing wrong with it. We checked it. There's nothing wrong with it. They said it's because they say we've written K instead of F, but the document is there. Can you confirm to the court that in each and every pink sheet that you're holding, the presiding officers wrote down their names, the date, and time?
Not in every sheet, but for many of them, they've written down the name. They have not signed. There may be a date and a time, like the first one. No name for the presiding officer, no signature. The date is December 7th, and the time is exactly 5 p.m. when the ballot is supposed to have, the session is supposed to have closed. The presiding officer is already signing the results even before counting has begun.
That means the vote is invalid, right?
No, I'm just saying that there is no signature. There is no signature.
My Lord, I have here a list of those documents. Which I would like to tender. There are 29 of them, my Lord. No, I didn't say I wasn't relying on it. I said you see the My Lord, of the list of 29, number 5 has been deleted.
My Lord, we have no objection.
No objection, my lords.
And we have no objection.
My lords, list of MBS number official signature. Hey, I'm sorry, my lords. MBS, no official signature. signed but has the name of presiding officer, date and time is marked as Exhibit 8.
Well, that is what is
Okay. My Lord, I have here a list of the pink sheets, instead of which we state that the presiding officer signed. That is the one I did before this one. I hadn't tendered a list. I would like to tender that.
My lords, we have no objection.
We have no objection either. Anyway.
Dr. Baumia, I have read your petition and I've read your affidavit and I've listened to your testimony. And in not a single case are you accusing any voter of doing anything illegal or irregular. Is that correct?
We have probably about 4.3 million cases where we are demonstrating violations, malpractices, irregularities in the conduct of this election.
I'm asking you a direct question. You are not accusing any voter of having done anything
This case is
wrong.
not against any voter. We have brought this petition because the second respondent did not conduct the elections in a way that gave them integrity. There were violations, malpractices, and irregularities, and that is what we've brought to court.
You're not accusing the first respondent of having done anything wrong, have you?
No, the first respondent just happened to be the beneficiary of these violations, malpractices, and irregularities.
Suggesting he resoundingly won the election, Doctor.
With violations, malpractices, and irregularities.
My Lord, that will be my cross-examination.
Mr. Baumia? Dr. Baumia. In your evidence in chief yesterday, on Wednesday, you took us through the pink sheets, a specimen of the pink sheets. Now, let us go through the procedure at the polling stations. The voter presents his ID card to the names and list officer. Is that not correct?
That's correct, sir.
Now, this officer does a quick check of the name of the voter in the name reference book, alphabetical book. That's correct. Then the officer locates the name of the voter and communicates the page number on the register to the verification officer.
That is correct. That is what is supposed to happen.
Then the name list officer inks the voter with the indelible ink on the finger.
That is correct. That is what is supposed to happen.
Then the verification takes place. The verification officer verifies the identity of the voter using the verification device.
That is what is supposed to happen.
Then they do this by scanning the barcode of the voter on its voter's ID card with the machine.
Yes, my lords, that's what's supposed to happen.
Now, when that happens, as you know, the picture of the voter pops up.
That's what's supposed to happen.
Good. And the fingerprint of the voter is then scanned.
That's what's supposed to happen.
Good. Now, after the voter has gone through the verification, he is referred to the presidential election ballot issuer if the scan is successful.
Yes, sir.
Then, of course, if the voter has already voted, when he tries to go through, this will be detected and he will be put aside.
That's what's supposed to happen.
Now, the voter is issued with the presidential ballot, which is validated with the stamp of the polling station.
That's what's supposed to happen.
Then the presidential ballot issuer demonstrates to the voter how to fold the ballot paper and directs him or her to the screen to go and vote.
That's what is supposed to happen.
When that is done, the voter next moves to the parliamentary ballot issuer, and that officer gives and validates and gives that ballot paper to the voter. Is that not correct?
That's what's supposed to happen.
And then demonstrates how that paper is to be folded and directs the voter to the screen to go and do the necessary.
That's what's supposed to happen, yes.
Good. Now, Dr. Baumia, at the end of the voting, counting is done in the full view of all present at the polling station, including, in particular, the candidates of the polling agents or counting agents of the candidates. Is that not correct?
That's the correct, yeah.
Good. Now, the polling or counting agent has the right to call for a recount if he so wishes, he or she wishes, you are aware of.
That is correct, yes.
And the agent also has the right to call for a second recount if he or she has any doubts.
That is correct.
In that case, the presiding officer can refuse if he thinks the request is unreasonable.
That is correct.
And in that case, the presiding officer needs to report to the returning officer of the constituency, if that is done. Not so?
Yes, my lords.
Good. Now, then, at the end of the counting and the counting, sorting and the counting, the agents and the presiding officer sign the pink sheet.
That's what's supposed to happen, but that's not always happen, as we've just seen.
Very well. Now, the pink sheet has a column where if the polling agent has any reason why he does not want to sign, he can do so. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Very good. And when he does so, he indicates on the form the reason why he refused to sign.
That's correct.
Good. Now, that form is taken by the presiding officer to the collation center and submitted to the returning officer of the constituency.
That's right.
And at the collation center, each party has its representatives also.
That's correct.
Now, you mentioned that the polling agents were mere observers as to what happened at the station.
Yes, I mean, they are very much in the position of exalted observers, because they can really, should the presiding officer say so, be excluded from the polling station. But they are not really even in direct, proximity. I mean, in terms of overlooking verification, overlooking identification, and so on.
Dr. Bawumia, you are a witness in the witness box.
Right.
Listen to the question, please. Answer it to your lordships.
Yes.
No extras. So, Dr. Bawumia, you are aware that the Electoral Commission issued a guide to candidates and their agents. You referred to an earlier guide, but this is another guide, the guide to candidates and agents. You are aware of it, are you not?
I've not seen this one, but I'm sure it exists as you are holding it.
It was issued for the 2012 elections.
Okay.
We've been talking about what the agents are doing.
My lords, I thought they were tendering their documents through the returning officer, but they choose to tender it through our witness. We have no objection.
Let me see it.
Yes. My Lord, I wish to tender this document in evidence. The Electoral Commission's Guide to Candidates and Their Agents, 2012 Presidential and Parliamentary Elections.
My Lords, we have no objection.
Yeah, my lords, we have no objection.
It's marked as the 10th.
My lords, respectfully, I think it's better to separate exhibits of different respondents because each respondent must have a separate. Yeah. If the second respondents could be EC1, EC2, then it helps us to recognize.
It's marked EC1. EC1.
Could you please give it to the witness? Dr. Baumia, could you kindly turn to page 10 of the document, EC1, and under the heading, the importance of polling agents, may I request you to read that portion?
Yes, my lords. The Electoral Commission attaches great importance to the work of polling agents.
You can't hear.
The Electoral Commission attaches great importance to the work of polling agents because they act as watchdogs of the election process. If they do their work well, they can enhance the credibility of an election by helping to detect persons who pretend to be someone else in order to vote in that person's name, that's impersonation, persons who attempt to vote more than once, multiple voting, persons who try to tamper with the contents of a ballot box, polling staff who do not follow laid-down procedures or misconduct themselves. Polling agents enhance the acceptability of the overall election results by certifying the results for their various polling stations.
Carry on. Carry on.
Is that okay? The qualities of a good agent. To be able to operate effectively on polling day, the polling agent must not only have the confidence and trust of the candidate who appointed him or her. Additionally, he or she must preferably have a minimum level of education to be able to discern issues and sign documents at the station. Be familiar with the basic election rules and regulations relating to activities at the polling station. Be knowledgeable about duties of the election officials he or she will be working with. Be willing to collaborate with election officials to deliver a transparent election. Be resident of the polling station area and be reasonably familiar with people.
Thank you, Dr. Baumia.
You're welcome.
Now, on the same page, where the 3 bullets, just after you've read what you've read, can you refer to the 3rd bullet and read it, my lord?
As a polling agent, You are expected to position yourself in such a way that you can clearly see or hear whatever is going on, and feel free to move about polling station at all times.
And the next?
Call the attention of the presiding officer to anything that you consider to be irregular, and if necessary, fill an irregularity form or give a written account of the irregularity to the presiding officer or higher election official.
And can you continue at the top of page 12, very briefly?
Top of page 12.
Yes, please.
Closely observed the counting of votes, making sure that each ballot is counted in favor of the candidate for whom it was cast.
And then, finally, the declaration of the results on the same page, please.
Sign the declaration of results form, making sure that the total number of votes obtained by your candidate as well as other candidates have been properly recorded, and obtain a signed copy of the results for the candidate who appointed you. If you refuse to sign the results, you must give reasons in writing for failing to do so to the presiding officer or a superior election official. Otherwise, remember that your failure to sign will not necessarily invalidate the results.
Now, Dr. Baumia.
Once you, okay, is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Carry on. You can finish.
Once you have signed and received a copy of the results, the votes will not be counted again anywhere, so your job as an agent is finished.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dr. Baumia, in the light of these guidelines, I'm suggesting to you that your evidence to the court that agents are merely observers to what happened is not accepted.
Oh yes, they are observers. They have a role to play. But as I say, the presiding officer is in charge of that polling station. It's not the polling agents. This election was run by the Electoral Commission and not by the polling agents.
You are to listen to the question and answer it.
I'm answering. I'm telling you, this election was run by the Electoral Commission.
Baumia, I said to you that I'm suggesting to you that the statement you made to the court that the polling agents are mere observers is not correct.
No, I said they were exalted observers, not mere observers.
Exalted observers.
And I'm saying to you, counsel, that the election, the responsibility for the election.
Mr. Baumia, I'm asking you a question and I expect an answer. You've said that they are not observers, not mere observers, but exalted observers. I'm suggesting to you that that is not correct.
Well, that is your opinion. I disagree.
Now, at the collation center, each party also has representatives. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
And when the results from the polling stations are taken to the collation center, they are also checked by the representatives or the agents of the different political parties. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Now, when the votes cast in the polling stations and certified are collated, in other words, they are added at the collation center, the collation center results are signed also by the agents before being sent to the EC headquarters. Is that not correct?
My lords, I'm objecting to this question. Nothing of this nature has been pleaded. Indeed, in this petition, there has been no talk of collation results by the second respondent. It is not before the court. We are here because of the pink sheets, and his questions should be directed to the pink sheets which are in evidence, and not the collation sheets. If he wants to ask questions about collation sheets, he should produce them, plead them and produce them. We are objecting to this question.
My Lord, under cross-examination, we are going through what happens with the pink sheets. The pink sheets don't exist on their own. They are taken to the collation center, collated, and the results are sent to the headquarters, the strong room. My Lord, this is cross-examination. Gratefully, Your Lordship. Now, at the collation center, representatives of all the parties are present.
Yes, they are.
They attest to the addition of all the votes of the different polling stations which are collated and added, and this is done, and they sign before the results are sent to the strong room, headquarters of the EC.
That is correct.
They also have, at that stage, before they sign, every opportunity to check with their polling agents from the polling center.
Not necessarily.
I suggest to you that they do.
But not necessarily. Forms can come from all parts of the constituency. There are some parts you may not even be able to reach to check. But so not necessarily.
Very well. Now, these signed results are then faxed to the strong room of the second respondent from the headquarters of the regional headquarters, the regional office.
Yes, with the embedded violations, irregularities, and malpractices.
If any.
That's the ones we are talking about here.
Please answer the question.
I am.
Now, at the strong room, there are also representatives of all the political parties. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Good. Now, when the faxes arrive from the collation centers, the representatives of the political parties check and sign the faxes before those faxes containing the results are sent to the chairman of the second respondent. Is that not correct?
That is correct. But even if they don't sign, they are ignored. The second...
Mr. Baumia, they receive and sign before they are sent to the chairman of the second respondent.
That's not the case in every circumstance. In this particular election, my lords, there was a point in time when our agents in the strong room stopped signing the results. That didn't stop a declaration by the second respondent.
Did they lodge any formal complaints?
Yes, they were told to go to court.
Good. We will come to that. We will come to that. In fact, at the stage where this arose, all the signatures had been obtained. Is that not correct?
That is not correct.
Very well. Now,
at least that's not my understanding.
Yes. And at that stage, when the faxes arrived, many of the agents at the strong room check with their counterparts at the collation centers before signing the results that have come from the said constituencies.
Yes, to the extent possible.
Now, Dr. Baumia, in the work towards the elections, the EC collaborated closely with the political parties. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Good. For example, the political parties were given a briefing about the printing of the ballot papers. Is that not correct?
Yes.
They also were invited and did send representatives to the printing houses that were engaged to print the ballot papers. Is that not correct?
That's right. But not duplicate pink sheets.
You just answer the question, please. Now, the second respondent also provided all the political parties with statistics of the ballot papers issued to each polling station. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
And representatives of the political parties followed the delivery vans, accompanied the delivery vans to the respective destinations, the delivery vans carrying the ballot papers.
I'm not aware, but if you say so.
Very well. Now, Dr. Baumia, you referred us to guidelines regarding special voting in your evidence on the 18th.
Yes, my lord.
And you said that for special voting, there are no pink sheets, and that
is my understanding from the guidelines.
And that the counting is only done at the collation center.
That's my understanding of the guidelines.
It is correct that the counting is done at the collation center, but at each special voting center, voting is carried out in the normal way with a pink sheet at the end.
At the collation center or
at the polling station, sorry.
But if it's not counted at the polling station, how do you fill the pink sheet?
The pink sheet, there is always a pink sheet for each each special voting center. Is that not correct?
I'm not aware.
Special voting, of course, is the voting by the military, the police, and the electoral commission officials. Is that not correct?
It's correct, and it's because of the need to keep this secret that I understand that pink sheets are not there, so that you cannot identify what, for example, the military voted. And so the results are entered directly on the collation form. This is my understanding.
No.
So if
I'm suggesting to you that they are counted, they are subject to pink sheets also, but they are not counted on the 4th of December. They are counted on the same day as the general election. I'm suggesting that to you.
You mean at the collation center?
Yes.
Well, I'm not aware of that.
But the special
is the same pink sheet for the presidential?
Yes, it is.
Where you have to first fill in B1. So is it filled in before?
I don't worry. I shall show you an example.
But perhaps if you are kind, you could also let me read the guidelines relating to special voting.
I certainly will.
Okay.
They are finished. I'm yet to...
You know, from the warehouse to audit and to the box.
Dr. Baumia, special voting is only for the security forces, police, military, fire service, and electoral commission officials. Isn't that so?
That is correct.
Good. You have in your hand 2 exhibits attached to your affidavit. The first one is exhibit, please.
MBT3 and MBT1.
MB3T. What is the heading on the first one?
District office is the polling. The T1 says special voting Bole Bamboy, district office.
Very good. And the second one?
MBT3 district office.
Bole Bamboy also?
No, just district office.
Okay. What is the polling station code?
The code is HO10102. It's the same polling station code.
So it's the same polling station. So polling stations that are used for general elections on the 7th and 8th were also used, some of them were used for the special voting on the 4th. Is that not correct?
Well, that is not the issue, I think.
No.
This
I've asked you a question. Please answer it. Some polling stations that were used for the special voting on the 4th were also used for the general election on the 12th.
Yes, my lord.
On the 7th and 8th. Now, yes, I'd like to tender, well, they're already in evidence, my lord. There are 2 exhibits attached to the second petitioner's affidavit. Please. They are, my lords, exhibit MBT1. That is the one marked special voting. And exhibit MBT3. The office, the polling station name is District Office in both cases. And in both cases, the polling station code is H010102. The code is the same for the second one because it's the same polling station that was used for the special voting and for the presidential and parliamentary elections subsequently. My lord, I'd like some guidance from the court. This is already an exhibit which we received with the 19 boxes that came. So I don't know whether there's any need for it to be tendered because it's already attached to the affidavit.
Cross-examination.
Lord, all the duplications that were, none of them was tendered separately. This is already marked and I've given the marks that are on it. It's already an exhibit.
That's what I'm saying. You only use it for your cross-examination, but it's already an exhibit, so you don't need to.
Good. Now,
I know some funny notion somewhere that affidavits have to be tendered. And here, I would not accept that. There's sufficient evidence. Yes.
Dr. Baumia, on the 18th of April, when you gave evidence on the in your evidence in chief, you made reference to the guidelines issued by the EC. I'd like to show you a copy. Page 7. Dr. Bawumia, these are the guidelines you are referring to. In your evidence, you mentioned that the results should be filled out on Form 23A, as specified in the guidelines of the second respondent. You see the relevant parts that have been marked. If you could read those parts, please.
Sections 2.2 and 2.3.
My Lord, I'm sorry. I wish to tender this document, my Lord.
My lords, we have no objection.
We have no objection.
We have no objection, my lord.
Go ahead, please.
My lord, section 2.2 of this guide deals with the custody of ballot boxes for special voting, and it reads, ballots cast on a special voting day must not in capitals, be counted after the poll. The ballot boxes containing the ballots should be kept in a secure room at a police station in the constituency, sealed with the seals of the commission and any candidates who may wish to add their seals. That is section 2.2, my lords. Then you have 2.3, deals with counting of special voters' ballots. Reads, on polling day at exactly 5 p.m., when voting ends at the polling stations, the returning officer must retrieve special voters' ballot boxes from the police station and count the ballots in the presence of the candidates or their agents at the constituency collation center. The results of the count should be recorded separately on both the presidential and parliamentary collation forms EL 23B and EL 23A, respectively, in the spaces provided like any other polling station. The results of the special voting ballots should be added to the results from all polling stations in the constituency before the declaration of the constituency results.
Dr. Bawumia, 23A is the parliamentary results and 23B is the presidential.
Okay.
So That is a correction to the evidence you gave.
When I said 23A,
That is so.
it should have been 23B.
Very well.
But the bottom line here, my
Please,
lords,
no bottom line.
Please allow the witness to answer. You've asked a question and he needs to answer. Yes. The witness has a right to answer you and to elaborate on that answer. And I think he has a right to do that. So please allow him.
my lords, what I just read,
Mr. Baumia, I asked a question and you answered it. And
not
there's no need-
fully. I'm still in the process.
Your client, your lawyer will re-examine you afterwards, and if he wishes, he can do so. Yes. That is so. But my lord, he answered the question.
No, I'm fully. My lords, what this section 22.3 does is actually vindicate what I have testified to, that the results of the count should be recorded separately on the presidential and parliamentary.
My lord, the witness is going beyond the requirements of a witness.
Answer excessively. It's related to a specific issue. Is that
My lords,
Yes.
I think this point is very important. Here is counsel suggesting that special voting is recorded on pink sheets. He has tendered certain pink sheets in verification of that assertion. He has also tendered a report, a guide to election officials, and has asked the witness to read certain portions of that guide. Now the portions read clearly supports the view of the witness. And that is all the witness is seeking to do. And he's being gagged. And he's insisting the witness is wrong. I mean, it is important that the witness is allowed to answer questions fully.
All he was seeking to say was that his reference to the corresponding sections of the guidelines was inaccurate. That's all. And he admitted that.
Yes, but my lord, beyond that, the point that the substance of the evidence is that special voting is not counted at the polling station and is not recorded on pink sheets. That is what is in the passage, and that is what he wanted to expand on. And I think it's important that he's allowed to do that.
Well, I don't see those dimensions from the ambit of the question he
But my lord,
posed. If it is suggestive of it, then yes, but looking at the ambit of the question for
my lord, he's even sought to tender pink sheets in support of his position that there are pink sheets for special voting.
Yes.
And that is what is being debunked by the witness, that there are no pink sheets.
Is that what is the import really of your question?
My lord, I have I've shown him
Yes.
two exhibits that he attached to his affidavit from the same polling station.
Yes.
One for special voting and one for regular voting. His own affidavit, and these were attached. That was all, my lord.
And we are saying they are irregular.
Please, let me address my lord. Yes, my lord.
What you have been suggesting to the witness, is it covered by Regulation 21, Sub-Regulation 11 of CI 75? Is that what has been reduced in Sub-Regulation 21, Sub-11?
CI 75. Regulation. Lord, I'm sorry, I missed while I was searching, I missed the. My Lord, exactly so. May I read it out for everyone? This is 2111. The returning officer shall, at the end of the special voting, A, ensure that the ballot boxes are kept in safe custody after the poll has closed. B, ensure that the ballot boxes are sealed with the seals of the Commission and any candidates who wish to add their seal. And C, arrange for the ballot boxes to be opened at the time of the counting of votes cast on the polling day, and the ballot papers shall be counted in the same manner as those contained in the ballot boxes used on polling day. That is all. Now, Dr. Baumia, polling stations throughout these proceedings have been by their name and by their code. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Now, Dr. Baumia, when you supplied us with the list of polling stations where serial numbers were duplicated, according to you, you had quite a substantial quantity, and I think you mentioned the percentage. Now, I'd like to ask you, when you take two polling station results, different code for one from the other, different name one from the other, different agents one from the other, different presiding officer one from the other, each counted in public. What is the problem that you see with the same serial number?
Yes, my lord. The problems we see with the same serial number are fivefold. Starting, there was a print of 2 copies, the same serial number, 2 sets of the pink sheets for the presidential election alone, not for the parliamentary, for the presidential election alone. The rationale, the statement of poll and declaration of results for the office of president form, they were duplicate. Yes, my lord, this is the same. There were 2 sets, so with duplicate serial numbers. The reasoning given by the second respondent for printing 2 sets of these pink sheets for only the presidential election was that they thought that there was going to be a second set of more candidates than the 8 who had registered. But it couldn't possibly be the case because the exact names of the candidate meant that they printed the sheets after October 18th or 19th when the ballots was held for the positions. So if
my lord, the question was very straightforward. 2 polling station results, 2 pink sheets, different polling stations. Their names and their codes are different.
I'm giving you 5 reasons why.
The mere fact of the serial numbers being the same is what I've asked the witness to explain.
I'm answering.
My lords will recall that he was asked for his problems.
You asked the witness what problems he has with that, and he's explaining. He started by saying he has 5-fold, so he has to explain. You ask for it.
Ask for it.
Thank you, my lords. So you had two sets that were printed just for the presidential election. And the rationale was that they did not know how many more candidates would be filing for the presidential election. But it's clear from the two sets that they knew exactly, because it was in the same order that we had balloted for the positions for the presidential election. So from 1 to 8, it was repeated in the second set. So what they have told the court is it could not be true. So this is how come for the presidential election you have these two sets, these duplicates being part of the mix. Now with the duplicate serial number, my lords, the security trail for this pink sheet is broken if you have a duplicate, because as I have said, it is the only part of the identification of a polling station which comes already embossed. If there was no duplicate serial number, then the serial number there would be unique to the polling station name and the code. Then you will have uniqueness. But without the serial number being there, and the EC actually paid for this to be embossed, and they are saying it doesn't matter anymore. Without the serial number, the presiding officer or whoever has this form can fill it in by hand, put in the polling station code, put in the name of the polling station. It creates room for manipulation of the results, because you can essentially substitute the results from one polling station to another without detection if you are able to do that. And that is the break of that in the integrity of the pink sheet. That is what we are talking about. This is why if you have two yes, so I think I will just leave it there. I'll leave it there.
And you said, Dr. Baumia, that someone can can put in signatures, etc. How about the signatures of the polling agents?
Well, as I said, we have pink sheets where we have agents, but we still have 0 scores, and so on. At the end of the day, you will need to validate the integrity of the process. And I'm saying that if you have duplicate serial numbers, you cannot trust the results that are coming, because no polling station is uniquely identified.
Mr. Baumia, you said that this provides the opportunity for manipulation.
It does.
Here, you are required not to talk about opportunities, you have to show how manipulation occurred. Well, so how do you say that it affected the results, the fact of polling stations with the same serial number?
The violations and the irregularities that we have identified have a high correlation with the duplicate serial numbers, as I've said. 74% of all cases of overvoting have occurred with duplicate serial numbers. 74% of all cases...
I think this is the third time that we are hearing these percentages.
Lord, some 74% of all cases of voting without biometric verification have occurred with duplicate serial numbers. My Lord, some 77% of all cases where the presiding officer did not sign occurred with duplicate serial numbers. And some 85% of all cases where we have duplicate polling station codes occurred with duplicate serial numbers. The correlation is too high to be ignored.
Mr. Baumia, could you refer to paragraph 26 of your affidavit? Yes, no.
Take a very short break. Very short one. About 10 minutes. It's about 10 minutes. We're back.
Very well.
Yes.
Can you take me to the washroom quickly?
You're still with us at the Supreme Court, where the election petition hearing is taking place with the cross-examination of the first respondent. Coming to an end, his examine, that's the first respondent, the President's Counsel, finished his cross-examination of the second petitioner, that's Dr. Bawumia, and basically he has looked at different aspects of the categories that were alleged irregularities actually took place, the overvoting, the biometric verification that was ignored, instances of duplicate serial numbers on pink sheets, and then also the last category, which is about the fact that there were no signatures on some of the pink sheets by the presiding officers. So all of those came to an end, and the EC also took its turn looking at different aspects of the guidelines that guide the election, and a booklet was read. Some portions of a booklet that contained the guidelines. That was where the EC started by looking at the importance of polling agents. And Dr. Bawumia was asked to go through those guidelines again, and he noted from the guidelines that it was the polling agents who were supposed to act as watchdog over the elections, and because they would enhance the acceptability of the results or otherwise, and then also they must be very knowledgeable to sign the documents, etc., and then also position themselves very well to see what's going on and draw attention of presiding officers or lodge complaints if there were any. And so Mr. James Kwashi Aiden, that is the counsel for the EC, the second respondent, put to the petitioner that in the instances that they have alleged irregularities took place, their polling agents were just not observant, because they were supposed to be very observant and then make sure that whatever was going on was the case. But Mr. Bawumia continually disagreed with him and said that even if that was the case, it didn't nullify the fact that the record of the election, which the pink sheets actually had problems with them. They were just witnesses to the fact that the results that were given to their candidates were the case, but as to whether the pink sheets were signed by the presiding officers and then some other issues that they have raised about the pink sheets were the case were not the issues that the polling agents were supposed to be dealing with. And Mr. Aiden continued by looking at the fact that at all stages of the pink sheet submission, and then also the sending them to the collation centers before they were faxed to the strong room, all of those stages had very crucial roles for the polling agents or the representatives of the various parties. And if that was the case, then obviously it was important for them to really take a blame for some of the irregularities that had occurred. This attracted an objection from the counsel for the petitioners, that's Mr. Philip Addison, who said that the question wasn't really was not pleaded in the petition, and therefore they should leave everything to the pink sheets and not the collation centers, what happened at the collation centers, because the pink sheets actually bore a record of the things that took place or did not take place. Mr. Aiden had the objection overruled because the judges thought that the pink sheets were very important, and the polling agents were also very much important and the party reps too had something to do with whatever took place. Now, all of these things led to the other aspect, which was about the transportation of ballot papers and the pink sheets to the polling stations. And Mr. Iden, the counsel for the EC, noted that the transportation was supposed to be accompanied by the party reps, and to this Mr. Bawumia answered that he wasn't aware of any such regulation. Then the last aspect that we were dealing with before recess was about the special voting, and whether or not they were recorded on different pink sheets from those that had the record of the normal voting, because you remember that the special voting was done for the security services and then the electoral commission officials before the day of the normal polls, that's December 7, and therefore there was a contention over whether or not the pink sheets for the special voting were different from those of the normal voting. And from the reading of Dr. Bawumia of the guidelines of the EC, that was not the case, and that he sought to elaborate on that aspect of his contention, but he wasn't allowed to. And finally, the polling station numbers and codes, really, what were the problems that the petitioners had with them? That was a question from the counsel for the EC, Mr. James Kwashi Iden, to the petitioner, Dr. Bawumia, and he started by giving some problems that they had noted with the polling station names as well as the codes. He said that the presidential pink sheets were printed in duplicates, and the reason that the EC gave was that they were doing a provision for any extra candidates who would be who would actually come into the elections. But Mr. Bawumia rebutted by saying that that couldn't have been the case because the number of candidates were already known after the balloting for their position on the ballot box, and therefore there couldn't have been any way that they would be making a provision for other candidates that were supposed to be put on the ballot paper. And finally, there was a talk about manipulation and how it was done, and that was where Mr. Bawumia highlighted the fact that there is a very high correlation between the duplicate serial numbers and the irregularities that they are alleging, because over 70% of each of the categories that they are alleging, that's overvoting, duplicate serial numbers, the lack of signatures on the pink sheets, as well as the non-use of the biometric verification machine. All of those instances had very high correlation with the places where they cited the duplicate serial numbers, and that was what they were arguing over before the recess. So keep being with us. It's just a very short break, and we'll be right back.
have given all our exhibits in advance. And so how many of these things are we going to be producing here? Is that the way he's going to conduct this election, this petition? The Electoral Commission, springing documents like this at this time?
Documents.
Yes.
It's a document emanating from the MPP appointing an agent to one of these statements. These places.
Yes, go ahead. Yes. EC3. No, exactly. Size as well cross-examination.
Sorry? Who are asking? Let me finish this one. My Lord.
The first one has been marked. This is the second one.
Has it been marked? My Lord, have you marked the first one?
My objection still stands. No explanation has been given why these photocopies are being tendered here and at this time. No foundation whatsoever has been laid for that.
My Lord, they were faxed to us from our regional office. In any case, it's emanating from the
They were faxed from where?
From our regional office, my Lord. Our regional office, where they were addressed to initially.
But yes, in any case, the witness has not disputed.
I don't know whether they're challenging the authenticity. It's from the petitioners, my Lord.
Yes. Were you objecting to this particular one?
That is so, my Lord. I'm saying that proper foundation has not been laid why these photocopies are being tendered. And secondly, these documents existed at the time they were filing the affidavit, and properly it should have been attached to the affidavits, as all parties have done.
My Lord,
yes.
Lord, if they are not challenging the authenticity of the document that came from them, and my Lord, there's no surprise element because we are talking about the disputed existence of these or the unknown polling stations on which we've already exhibited a document in which we indicated the correct names and the correct polling station codes, my Lord. So they've been on notice since this document was received.
Because,
My Lord, if I may refer to the Evidence Act, Section 166, a duplicate of a writing is admissible to the same extent as an original of the writing unless a genuine question is raised as to the authenticity of the original or the duplicate, or in the circumstances it would be unfair to admit the duplicate in lieu of the original. And I would imagine that the element of surprise would be such a reason, and here there's no element of surprise. A letter from them appointing an agent to the so-called unknown polling station.
well, objection overruled, yes.
Lord, I'd like to tender this document. Both of them, Lord. My Lord.
It will be useful if you have a bunch of similar documents, you put them together.
Very good. My Lord, I have to save time.
Yes, yes.
My Lord, there is one in particular that I'd have. Let's.
This one is marked. It's marked as with what? Okay. He's showing the others, all right.
It's marked as a 3A to 3D. 3D.
EC.
As EC3, EC3A, EC3E.
To 3E.
How many are there?
AC3A.
EC3, EC3A, EC3B,
You showed us all James. I want to use one
Three A2. 3 what? E? 3E.
Uma Kappa Brown. I think we noted the numbers. Yeah, thank you.
Because this is very efficient.
I know that.
That's why me I'm not.
Yes.
I wanted to use one of the exhibits, my lord, for a... Dr. Baumia?
Yes. Okay. All right. We have to arrest the proceedings at this stage.
Lord, can I have one only question on this one?
One. All right. Okay.
3E. 3E. Dr. Baumia, you have in your hand exhibit 3E. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, my lord.
Do you recognize the signature at the middle of the exhibit? Surely you do.
At the middle of the exhibit.
One who signed it.
The first petitioner. Yeah.
The first petitioner.
Yes.
Very well, my lord.
But that doesn't make the polling station known.
Please. The first petitioner signed that letter.
Oh yeah, but the wrong code was on the pink sheet.
Proceedings will not show on your pink sheets. I'll continue tomorrow. Is it 10 or 9:30? 10. All right, 10 o'clock tomorrow. Adjourn to.
We take it that we'll be closing at 4 o'clock each day.
Well, that comes from us. We have not issued any direction.
Lord, we're pleading with the court because 5 o'clock we just go into the peak of traffic, and then we have very little time to prepare for the next day.
Okay. That well with all of you?
And my Lord, if I may also make a request regarding the transcripts. We were very happy to receive transcripts of 17th and 18th, so we look forward to receiving some more.
Yes, I mean, this is a standing order that usually... So, yes, we are up to 4. When we do this, nobody should go and counterclaim that we are delaying. Because we are... All right. Yes.
We are grateful, my Lord.